meeting is now called to order. This is the Intergovernmental Committee for June 3rd, 2026. I am the chair, Council Member Shanae Darby for the 2nd District. At this time, I will call the roll for those members of the committee first. We have myself. Do we have Vice Chair Christopher Johnson, Councilmember Johnson online? Councilmember Christian Willauer is present. Councilmember Xanthia Oliver. And do we have President Congo on the line? All righty, so we do have some other council members who are here with us. We have Councilmember Alex Hackett.
Here.
All righty, and I think that's it for roll call. As a friendly reminder, only members of the committee should be making motions and seconding, and we shall proceed with the agenda. There was a request for us to have a discussion regarding the intergovernmental strategic plan priorities first. So I think that you'll be who, Kendra or Elijah? Okay, all right. Yes, we will have two of our city representatives who speak to it.
Okay.
I would like to I'm so sorry. I see two more council people who came online. Councilmember Owens and then Councilmember Chris Johnson. They are both online. And I'll bring it over to you guys.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Elijah Simmons, Chief of Staff for Wilmington City Council, and I'm joined by...
Morning, I'm afternoon. I'm Dr. Kendra Brumfield-Nwangna, Legislative Research and Policy Director for City Council.
Okay, so WITN, you can pull up the slideshow. We're here to talk about the Intergovernmental Committee strategic priorities. We have 3 quick slides for you all that is going to, you can go to the next slide, WITN, that is going to encompass varying priorities by the committee members in comparison with the chair and the other committee members. So to start, when looking at the chair, it says on here that the chair is looking to strengthen collaboration with the city's lobbyists and coordinate communication between council and state partners, engage and explore partnerships through the Sister Cities program and other intergovernmental relationships, develop a formal city council/state legislative agenda to guide advocacy priorities with the General Assembly, and to review all revisions to the city charter. While the committee members have correlated to stakeholder coordination involving improved coordination amongst council, the state delegation, and lobbyists, engage state legislators before introducing or passing legislation, establish reoccurring meetings with General Assembly leadership, improve transparency around legislative or charter changes impacting city operations, leverage the Intergovernmental Committee as a tool to help advance the goals of other committees. And then the other topic was share legislative priorities by developing a more unified council voice when advancing legislation to Dover, focus on shared high priority resolutions over disconnected ones. So when looking at both of these varying priorities in comparison with the chair and the committee members, the priority topic outline that we recommend is relationship building and legislative priorities. So what does that mean? That basically means building out the relationships between our city council members and the Delaware General Assembly, Wilmington delegation members, and then pushing the legislative priorities of city council as a full body onto them through various things, having more recurring meetings, engaging with the city's lobbyists. Now, knowing that as of right now for the FY27 budget, there wasn't any money in for council lobbyists, so this will now be encompassing trying to speak with the administration to give ideas and to give council's priorities to the city's contracted lobbyists. So that's sort of what this priority services. So just, Kendra, if you want to step in to add anything.
So just kind of also the caveat that some of these things, like, again, the city's lobbyists, the situation has changed since the one-on-one meetings. So just saying that these are making sure that you all feel that relationship building and legislative priorities reflects what you collectively as an intergovernmental committee would like to see. And just a quick refresher for those of you who maybe weren't there at the Public Safety Committee where we did this, is that this is just to make sure, give you all a chance to kind of dialogue about making sure that these priorities reflect your strategic goals as a committee. So any feedback on relationship building and legislative priorities?
Yeah, the only thing I would like to add is county council and even our federal delegation. So the same concept of like state legislators being able to use this platform or to be able to communicate with us, and school board too. So all of the branches, level of governments being able to use this platform to communicate messages or for us to have that dialogue. So I would add that.
Okay.
I believe Councilmember Johnson has his hand raised.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairwoman. I appreciate the insight because again, I'm similar to our chair. I believe we definitely need to strengthen our relationships. I still kind of defer. I know it was a budget decision, but I think a lobbyist, for council is a little bit better for us to have our own. Because if you look at, say, even Philadelphia, for example, you have the issue regarding, Uber tax and hotel tax, right? Council and administration don't see eye to eye. So I just, especially when it comes to housing, there's just sometimes a divergence. But definitely, I think the relationship building, sister city ideas is great because we have been exploring that. I know during the last administration, we did a sister city agreement with Doha, and I think we need to look back at trying to reconvene with that relationship because I know they do affordable housing. Actually, the Qatari Wealth Fund. I know that's something they've done in the U.S. with other cities, and something maybe we should be exploring, trying to reconnect so they could do something here. So, but it's all good stuff. I think we should definitely focus on going forward. Thank you.
So, of course, these will be revised over time and kind of pared down to fit and with constant feedback from you all. But I just would like to say the caveat. I feel like the Intergovernmental Committee is a bit unique in that a lot of these things may be strategic, but not necessarily legislative. So, a lot of things like relationship building and having one voice with your legislative priorities might not necessarily translate to ordinances or even resolutions. There are many ways to engage. So I would just encourage you to keep that in mind with this one because it's a little bit more tricky as opposed to like the head committee to really health, environment, aging, and disabilities to make legislative action from this. But we just want to make sure that you all are on one page or at least thinking about these goals collectively.
And I think just by looking at the stakeholder coordination portion, on the one bullet point that states leverage the intergovernmental committee as a tool to help advance the goals of other committees, I think that's a topic of discussion amongst you all that I think if you want to have now, like what that could look like, what sort of methodologies and space do you want to set to actually set the tone to get that accomplished?
And I would say if WITN could flip to the next slide, just to make sure that we're not duplicating. It kind of relates to priority too. The chair's priority mentioned inviting representatives from various levels of government. So just making sure would probably encompass that. Or do you feel like that using this committee as a forum is a different from from priority two?
I can see how it fits in it. I think that's definitely a part of it, public policy and transparency, using the committee for that. I also know in another city, their intergovernmental would have joint committee hearings with like their education, and then they would talk about state, county, or state, or well, not county, but for our state, it would be the state and school board. So then they would talk about what legislation do we want to see as a council for like education. So then they would have a joint thing, and then they would develop their state policy around education with a joint committee meeting, right? So I think that's what I see or envision. I don't know if the other council member sees that, but doing things like that with each committee throughout the year, maybe once a year, we have a joint committee meeting to go over state priorities related to that committee.
And I would imagine some of these objectives, like that would be one objective, will flesh out over time, because I know you all are still taking this in, but if anybody has any like initial reactions to, I guess we can do the rest of priority too.
Yeah. So just to actually read over it. So as Dr. Kendra stated, public policy and transparency, the chair's priorities encompassed inviting representatives from various levels of government, including the school board, county, state, and federal officials, to present updates and policy discussions during committee meetings, where the committee members closely tied and correlated to that stated intentional communication, especially in public messaging and press releases, to ensure alignment with council's legislative agenda. And one of those examples was correcting property tax reassessment errors.
So with that,
Any questions related to Councilmember Johnson, as his hand raised?
Oh, Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah, I second that. I definitely think this committee has actually done an excellent job. For example, tax reassessment. I think we also look at the Plumber Center. I'm not sure if the outcome would have been the way it was if, this committee hadn't raised awareness for the issue, So again, shout out to the chairwoman for that and getting us kind of rallied around it, because I think it did make a difference. So I would say this is honestly probably one of the most effective committees on council in terms of the actions taken so far.
thank you. So if no other thoughts, we can go to priority 3.
And then for priority 3, the topic is grant funding and resource development. So the chair's priorities encompass track and regularly discuss state, county, and federal grant opportunities that may benefit Wilmington, whereas the committee members stated use intergovernmental coordination to secure outside funding from the state and external partners for city priorities, including homelessness, housing, and neighborhood needs. So both definitely very tied and correlated amongst each other. Now, just as an open discussion and question for the council members, when we talk about securing grant funding, exactly how do you envision that process going about as far as council and just the city as a whole?
I know for me, I envisioned, I've been advocating for a grant writer. We didn't get a grant writer, but being able to work with an individual on our team who can help with the grant writing. And I think of the National League of Cities when we did the fees and fines. That was the National League of Cities?
Different,
the fees and fines?
different.
No, that was...
National League of Cities was one thing, and then the fees and fines was something else.
Yeah, so in my first term, there was an organization we went through where we worked on fees and fines reform. I got together a working group. The city applied for it, and then they gave us money. So we got grant money, and then we paid community organizers to go on the ground. We were able to pay to get a website set up. We were able to pay to have the conversation around fees and fines. And I could find that information and forward it. I don't know if you remember that, Kendra. But yeah, that was in the first term.
Maybe landlord engagement too was.
Landlord engagement was through the National League of City, but they didn't give any money.
Okay.
The other one gave grant money to us. And we were able then to disperse it out to be able to do like the boots on the ground community engagement with the fees and fines reform group that we had. So I imagine things like that, like National League of Cities. I cannot remember the name of the organization we worked with, but those organizations, looking at them, seeing if they have programs we can apply to that has grant money, that has funding, looking at what's on the federal level. I know I was talking about like citywide Wi-Fi. What does it look like to find grant funding to be able to initiate and get citywide Wi-Fi for the whole city, right? Not just the riverfront. So that's my thoughts about it.
And I'll just say kind of as a caveat too, to put this in context, like you mentioned, Councilwoman Darby, a lot of the grants that council would be eligible for would be those with the technical assistance and include dialogue and engagement. Some others, the mayor's office would typically be signatory, so we would definitely have to work closely with them to and also the tracking of the grants. So were you, just to clarify, like, were you thinking more of like the ones that a legislative body would be eligible for with the technical assistance and kind of more of a coordinated effort, or just kind of like making sure resources are available to the city and community to do certain services?
I would say both. I think we can explore grants where we would have to work with the administration, and we can explore grants where we can just sign off as a council and receive the funds. So I think both work.
Awesome.
So I hope this is a start to the dialogue, or a step in the dialogue. So as you take time to digest this, if you have anything to add or anything that you would like to be considered, of course, please definitely reach out, and we can make sure that that's involved in the next steps of the process, which would be pulling out objectives, figuring out what are some of those specific things council wants to speak to with one voice, and making sure that we make reasonable timelines for accomplishing those.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Public comment. So we were talking about the intergovernmental strategic plan priorities. Yes.
Hello, Council and everyone. I'm Jamila Davy. I live in the 5th District. And I'm excited to see you guys talking about the strategic plan. I've spoken with Councilmember Darby with some other constituents around some potential intergovernmental work that we could do around sustainability and bringing residents to the table. Or doing a specifically resident-driven plan that focused on equity outcomes. And so one of the things I noticed in looking at the slides is that, and just a concern I have is that, we have different layers of representation with City Council and our representatives that we sometimes have to turn to help us advocate. So I just want to, throw out there the importance of where residents are as stakeholders in this mapping exercise. I realize so that, I know it's probably public meetings, but I think just even in the DNA of thinking about what the goal is has to do with resident driven, because I have certain concerns about, I'm excited for the charter change discussion today as well, because changes might or might not benefit residents.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned. So I'd love to hear about what council thinks about that, and then just listening in on the way here. I too feel I listened to the budget hearings and I heard the kind of disconnect y'all had with the lobbyist that and understand why that got cut from the budget. But I'm not enjoying hearing that the administration does, and that kind of asymmetry of access doesn't seem fair, and that seems like there should be some way to remedy that. So those are a couple things that are on my list. And I'll just say that some of the work that I'm involved in, has involved intergovernmental, aspects, and that has to do with our street planning. It's a really major area that the strategic plan 2028 said we should have some intergovernmental relationship coordination around, especially around our, city streets and state highways, those networks. And so, there might be some more, talking to do to community members who have specific priorities for intergovernmental coordination. And then the other thing we've talked about is how to see if Wilmington can better plug into the environmental sustainability objectives that the state has, to kind of pull that work through and get to those goals.
Yes. Thank you for your comments. We'll definitely take those into consideration. Any more comments in regards to the intergovernmental strategic plan priorities? Alrighty. Anything for council? Well, thank you for presenting it. We'll move to the next thing on the agenda, which is right in line for our our strategic plan priorities, which is ordinance number 26-036, the ordinance to amend chapter 2 of the city code to create a charter advisory board. The sponsor for this is Councilmember Alex Hackett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is this on? All right, cool. I'm just going to go forward. This ordinance amends chapter 2 of the city code to create a charter advisory board to scrutinize the city charter and recommend changes to give the city more control over laws. This board shall advise in nature only and shall not take away the current option available to amend the chapter. So I just think this is important. I've been here for, almost going on 2 years, and just learning. There's a lot of things in our charter that had good intent. There's a lot of things in our charter that's been written for a long time. But what I learned in life is the only thing that remains constant is change. And, this world is constantly changing. I just think that there's some things that council can handle. I just think there's some things that the mayor's administration can handle without having to go to Dover. And maybe Dover might feel the same way. So I think that just gives us a opportunity to look at our charter. I don't know if we've been looking at it for a while now, so I think it just puts an eye to our charter to make sure that we can make it better if possible. So I'll open it up for any questions.
Yeah, any questions from any council colleagues? I can't see online if there's any. No hands right now. Councilmember Willauer?
I wanted to thank Councilmember Hackett for putting this together, because we always have these charter issues and they're always one-off. So I think trying to take a comprehensive look at the charter is a great idea. So thank you, Councilman Hackett. My question is sometimes council members have, views or experiences with the charter. Is there any role for council members in the Charter Advisory Board?
Currently, as is written, not currently, I think, but I think there's all conversations that could be based upon it. I think when they have the advisory board, I think there's, we're going to make conversations and suggestions that's going to be submitted to this advisory board, just like the mayor's administration as well. But I think, honestly, I think the president, Congo, is going to be able to propose people on this advisory board, and so is the mayor, so.
Yes, I would like to recognize Council President.
Are you saying that you would like for council to be on the board?
I would just ask Councilman Hackett that you might want to consider the role of, some council members on the board. Just because we have to deal with these issues all the time. But just an idea. We can always go to the meetings, That's another way to participate.
Alrighty. Any other questions from council members or comments? Councilmember Owens?
Thank you. First off, thank you, Councilman Hackett, for bringing this forward. I think this is really important. Like Councilman Christian Wilhauer said, we deal with a lot of issues when it comes to our charter, so giving us the ability to pull together a group of well-informed individuals and having them kind of review this for us and then it come to us, I think is a good step. And I would like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Alrighty. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor too.
I would like to be added as a co-sponsor too.
Alrighty. All right, I don't see any other hands up from council. I'm going to open it up to the public. Council member Hackett.
Well, I'm at the end to close.
Yeah, you're going to close it out. Okay. All right. Any public comments in person for the charter change? Any online? No. All right. You can close out with any comments, Councilmember Hackett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say thank you to everyone for their support. Councilwoman Willauer, I'm open to all suggestions to figure out how we can make all legislation better. So honestly, I don't have no problem with us sitting down and figure out how council can be involved in this process. And I just leave with that. I'm willing to work with all council and the mayor administration to figure out how we can make sure that our charter is up to date, and hopefully also the changes that we do decide to make protect the residents, advance the residents, and doesn't set us back. So.
All righty, thank you. What meeting will this be on for? I don't know yet. June 18th. All right, so this will be on the June 18th City Council meeting for us to vote on as a collective. We will move to the next agenda item. It is a resolution encouraging the governor and DGA to develop a long-term affordable energy strategy. The sponsor for this is Councilmember Willauer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this piece of legislation is a follow-up to the last resolution that we council members sent to Dover, which was to ask the Public Service Commission not to approve a rate increase. But this legislation, the goal of these two resolutions is to really shine a spotlight on the fact that charges from Delmarva are out of control, and that many residents are really having difficulty paying for the rising electric and gas bills, and that the solution that we have of short-term, kind of one-off assistance is not enough, that there needs to be like actual solutions to keeping these costs affordable. And, we see some of the issues coming online with strains on the power grid from big users and things like that. But whatever it's coming from, the cost is too high. And people can't keep paying bills at this level for utilities. So what this resolution does is it asks Dover to do something bigger and more comprehensive around the costs of our utilities at the state level. And that's just what it's about.
Yes. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. Do we have any comments or questions from any council members? That was Councilmember Owens.
Can I be added as a co-sponsor, please?
All right. Do we have any public comment in person? Any public comment online? All righty. This will be on the June 18th City Council meeting. All righty. Any closing comments?
I would just say that the reason, this resolution came up is because states around us have been doing these kind of things. I mean, there are, Pennsylvania has taken some steps, New Jersey has taken some steps, and, it's just a moment when we need like new policy, a whole new regulatory system for our utilities so that people can actually afford to keep the lights on.
All righty, thank you. We will move to the next agenda item is a resolution calling for a transition plan for individuals residing at Christina Park and long-term homelessness coordination within the city of Wilmington. The sponsor for this piece of legislation is myself. I decided to put this piece up to highlight what is happening. We know that June 15th, the mayor administration will be evicting everyone who they told this was the only designated place for unhoused people to be, and telling them that they have to leave by June 15th. So to start off with, for me, a lot of people are like, they shouldn't be in the park. I agree. They should have never been placed at that park, right? But now that we're here, and we have this we have to deal with. I think the way that the administration has been dealing with it has been inhumane, just inappropriate, unprofessional, and act like if they could just be discarded, as they're not. It's very inhumane. And I am calling for several things to happen. One, to halt June 15th. Let's stop it. We should not have people be forced to leave, right? Let's stop that. And the reason why is because there hasn't been a clear plan on what happens to individuals who are not placed yet into housing, right? So I think we have to have a plan. What are appropriate shelters, transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, alternative safe placement options are available first, along with case management, supportive services, right, prior to relocation. And that it's clearly communicated with reasonable timelines, right, regarding transition progress for the individuals who are residing at the park. I'm also asking for the administration to look at their partnership efforts with Friendship House and other community-based providers who are working directly with the unhoused individuals to expand those efforts, right? To be able to find funding. They created the problem. They told them to go there, right? For them to find funding to support the direct service contracts that need to be there. I want to say that the money that was allocated for Friendship House, that was not nearly enough, right? It was not enough for it to be properly executed, and the time frame, the time frame from when they had people out there living there to when they want to evict them is just a short time span. And I know they keep saying, oh, this is supposed to be short term. Okay, short term, like a few months, like a few weeks, like we have to do better in communicating what that looked like, and that wasn't. So I didn't understood. I didn't when I heard short term, I was thinking maybe not years, maybe a year, but not 5, 10 years. Of course, we didn't want it long term, but definitely not the time frame that they have given. The other thing I am asking for in this resolution is that there has been conversations with different projects um, about pallet homes, transitional homes, and I think before we ask people to not go to a park, we need to have that operational first, and then we say, okay, you know what, let's let the community use this park again. We have this permanent stable option for you. Go here, right? And then I am more open to saying, let's not use that park as a place for a designated place for unhoused individuals. I'm also asking for the administration. I know that the coordination of this could be a lot, and the person who was coordinated it said it was a lot. And I'm asking the mayor administration, so it's a lot for that one individual to do, then create a position. It could be called whatever, but I put the homelessness resource coordinator position within the mayor's office so that it can properly coordinate all of the services that are needed. So it can work with the Friendship House. It can make sure that it's requesting the money that should be allocated for the Friendship House and or other community providers to be able to provide the services, being able to coordinate and help with the case management, making sure services are happening there and it's being implemented. So I really think that having someone in the mayor's office who's solely focused on that. And it's unfortunate because they actually tried to put the position under the Office of Violence Prevention Director, who is supposed to be addressing violence. They snuck it in the job description. So I'm hoping that they take it out of that job description and create an actual position. I'm also asking for them to create a plan, a written transition timeline, right, with a list of all of the community provider resources, when they will hire someone to do this work, how are they thinking about the Springboard project, which is the pallet homes or whoever we use, to create a plan that is shared with City Council, because we were not communicated to at all. This when you guys found out things, I found them out, or City Council did. So there wasn't even proper communication to the legislative body about what was happening down at the park. So I'm asking for them to communicate with us, so that, because when things happen in the community, they don't go to the chief of staff or the mayor. They come to City Council and they expect us to have answers. They expect us to know things. And I'm gonna be honest, some of the time, like, I'm finding out from the community. I don't know as a council person. So that's what I'm calling for in this resolution, in regards to the individuals who are living at the park currently right now. So I want to open it up to my council colleagues to see if you guys have any comments or questions. All righty. Anyone online? No, I'm looking. All right, we're going to open it up for public comment. So you will have 3 minutes to speak, and I'll do it in council president's fashion. In his way he does it, we'll do in person and then online, so we'll rotate. I see, Mr. Joe, you have your hand up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I don't have much voice tonight. Sorry. My voice and my anger don't match. You're the last chance, guys. You're the last chance. It is clear that this administration has embraced cruelty, has embraced just the way that this administration has behaved around this is something I fail to be able to get my arms around. I've never seen an organization that approaches human beings and sees them as something they need to hide, get rid of, put in the corner, and forget about. I don't understand it. I don't understand that their idea of putting this together and fixing this problem comes from a place of punitive punishment mindset. And I guess if you take and you put a jailer in charge of running your task force, you're going to get a jailer's idea of how this should be done. These are human beings. We have tried to appeal to the mayor. We have tried to appeal to his heart. We've tried to appeal to his humanity. And it ain't there. It just isn't there. I know a majority of this council is trying to do the right thing. And I will even say that those that haven't completely done the right thing, I don't see the same hard-heartedness among even the council members that we don't agree with. Even the council members that are maybe the worst one I can think of is not hard-hearted like the way this administration is. So June 15th is going to happen. And I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just going to get down there that day. I'm hoping that the last couple of people get placed and we're able to do something. But I have little confidence that that's what's going to happen. So I've read the resolution. I thank you, Councilman Darby, and I hope you can support it and pass it. But I have no confidence that it's going to do anything. That's all I got.
Yes, thank you. Online, we have Adam.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Yes, we do hear you.
All right. Sorry, I'm a little sick. I am calling to support this resolution. There's not too much to say. We've been over it many times. The city's seemingly concerted effort towards gentrification is rolling at full speed, and you know, we are reaching a point where people are gonna have to take matters into their hands because the laws are evil, and yeah, I mean, there's this place is just not designed. Wilmington is just designed to shovel people into prison, and I just want to make a quick shout out to Will Hour for putting that floor amendment at the city council meeting earlier. I didn't get a chance to, but yeah, generally we are just gonna have to accept from this point on. I just hope nobody here gets amnesia. When it comes to lawmaking, we see that Wilmington just does whatever it wants. It doesn't care how nicely you ask. It is a matter of the mayor thinks they have enough power to do whatever they want, and the people have to garner enough people power to stop him. He is an evil man. His minions are like cartoon characters, and literally criminals themselves. So I won't say too much. I can't really think straight, but yeah, John Carney, I really hope the worst happens to him. Please pass this common sense resolution from Sinead Darby. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Who's our next person? Mr. Tony Dunn.
Good evening, City Council, members of the community. My name is Tony Dunn. I'm the president of 2500 Civic Association. Just listening to the first couple of individuals, I've been at the mayor's office. I've sat with the mayor myself, a couple other activists and clergy members and community members of the city of Wilmington. I also was told by the mayor and his administrating office to write up a strategic proposal, which I've done, and I've also submitted it to city council as well as the mayor and their administrating office about several issues. My main concern is housing, mental health, joblessness, and education. We have all that over in that park. I went and visited that park on Monday. They're not doing whatever they got the money for. Friendship House is not doing it. I don't see anything over there for them to take baths. They're over there fighting over food like animals. Before we place them anywhere, the public has to go over there and you have to weed out the violence, the disrespect, and the greed, the selfishness that is now in that park. The mayor, he put them over there and he's getting ready to move them, and they're going to come to our communities. I don't care where you live. They're coming in our community if we let them come out of there June the 15th. It's a mess over there. I hate to tell you. Now, we put this strategic proposal in play for the mayor to look at. And it includes city council as well as the mayor, administrating office. I'm asking all of the city council to get behind what Sinead Darby has submitted. But it also is, we have to be at the table. Poor people have to be at that table. You cannot help poor people if no poor people are at your table making decisions for poor people. That's our biggest problem. Friendship House, that $300,000, it's a drop in the bucket for what we need in our community. And it has to be redistributed to people that are doing the real true work for the communities that are suffering right now. And I hope that this is a lesson for city council and the administrating office.
Yes, thank you. We have online Lip Bentley. And then the next person in person, if you want to start making your way up. Whoever's next for public comment. Lip Bentley. You can't hear him. All right. We're going to go to the next person, and then if we hear him, he can go next, or she, or they, them. Yeah. Okay, next.
Mimi, I live in District 1. I completely support this resolution. It's one of the only humane things we've seen in a while when dealing with the park. And frankly, what's happening is pathetic. We've called Carney, we've pleaded to Carney, we've done everything we possibly can, and it just seems like he doesn't have a soul. So maybe we can appeal to his faith. So in 1987, John Paul II, his encyclical, called on all people, and they asked, especially people in power, to exercise a preferential option for the poor. And he wrote that this meant caring for the homeless, the needy, and above all, those without the hope of a better future. And he called all the systems that left people without basic necessities structures of sin. So think about that, Carney, wherever you are. I'm sure you're watching this or someone's watching it for you, because why would you be bothered? And Catholic teachings also talk about dignity of the person. And there is nothing dignified about forcing people into one area and then moving them with nowhere else to go. You've made it illegal to be homeless everywhere else. What do you want them to do? This feels like a giant tantrum. I couldn't handle it, so, oh, they all have to go. It's pathetic, and there's really no other way to put it. And I'm sorry, like, Friendship House did not get what they needed to do this. They were also blindsided, and it's not right. And it almost feels like Carney's trying to make them the fall guy for this, and that is also pathetic. So I'm asking, please, let's pass this resolution. Let's do the right thing. Let's show him that this community cares and step up when he won't. These people have become our friends. They're our neighbors, and they deserve dignity and respect, and they deserve a chance. I loved how you called it a springboard project, because that's so good. They deserve a chance to find a fresh start, to get to where they need to be without being forced back into the streets with nothing. Please support this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I think we start hearing Lip at one point in time. Lip Bentley,
Howdy, can you all hear me?
we hear you now. Yes, you have
Sorry
3
about
minutes.
that technical
No, you're fine.
issues. I just wanted to say to ask all the council members, please support this resolution, and I wanted to thank you, Madam Chair, for putting this resolution forward. The administration, how they are treating the most vulnerable residents of our city it's just morally reprehensible. It's inhumane. The fact that we have reached this point is it's ridiculous and it's disgusting. And this is a moral stain on the city as a whole. It's all of our responsibility to take care of each other, especially the most vulnerable among us all. And just how the Carney administration has acted, he's acting like an authoritarian, like a tyrant. People of the city, while I didn't vote for him, people of the city voted, it's supposed to be a democracy, but he is acting, as if that is not the case. Yeah. And just, in general, as someone mentioned before, he seems just to be a heartless individual. And we need to do everything that is in our power to take care of these folks, and to make sure that they get the services they need, or that's mental health services, get them jobs, housing, etc. The eviction happening on June 15th needs to be stopped by any means necessary. These are people's lives we are talking about, and the Carney administration does not care. So again, just want to say thank you for listening, and thank you again, Madam Chair, for this resolution. And that's it. I'm from the 6th district. Almost not quite, but almost a lifelong resident of Wilmington. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Our next person, in person. If you could just state your name.
Good afternoon. My name's Kevin O'Connell. I guess I have more questions than comments, and I know this is not an appropriate time to ask questions, but unfortunately I started becoming more familiar with this when I saw your resolution, and I support it fully. But it made me take a deep dive into the City of Wilmington Task Force on Homelessness report. And the curiosity I have is, what are we doing? I mean, we have a great report. Have we done anything to implement any of the recommendations that were made by that group? Including, I mean, there were some very good concrete proposals for the Theros community or the Springboard community. There's money available for it. This is not just a City of Wilmington problem. This is a Newcastle County problem. I don't see any Newcastle County reps here. This is a state problem. We just introduced, or JFC just released our budget. What are we doing? This report came out 8 months ago, more than 8 months ago, and I'd really like to know, what has been done since then other than putting it on the shelf, and I'm naively asking that. What are we doing to implement these problems or implement these solutions? There's talk about that there was money available, to begin this project, to get wraparound services, all of that. I think those questions need to be answered before we take people out of the park.
Yeah.
So my request is that we get answers to, what has been done with this great report, with great recommendations. And can we maybe tie ending the encampment in the park to implementing the recommendations made by this report? Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you. I do want to let people know that the administration was invited to the committee so that they will be able to answer any questions that we could not. The task force was a executive branch, a mayor initiative. So it was his homelessness task force. Yeah, I wasn't a part of it at all. And so a lot of the recommendations were great. So what you're seeing is as much as we know, unless they said anything extra to any other council people that they're doing anything else that, yeah, I don't know about. Yeah, I haven't. They don't communicate to council, so I don't know what else they're doing, but I do know that the park is a part of it, which was their short-term solution. There are conversations currently with Springboard for the pallet homes that are in Georgetown of bringing them up here. And like you said, there are ARPA dollars to get it set up, like the infrastructure. However, we need money for operations. Our governor, he's not the governor anymore. Our mayor said that that is a state-funded thing. The state should fund it. We should not fund it as a city. So they are waiting to hear from the state to see if the state will fund it. Georgetown's pallet homes are state-funded too. I think the Hope Center is now state-funded. I think they took over. So we're waiting to hear. So there are things happening, and that's all that's been shared with us that I know of. Online, we have Emma Van Vlack.
Hello, my name's Emma. I wanted to speak in support of the resolution. I think that it's extremely cruel to kick people out of the only place in Wilmington that they're legally allowed to exist in if they don't have a home without providing them with homes to be in. I also want to say that I've been going down to the park for years to help support people, and there are many extremely kind people there, and who are under like an immense amount of stress due to having to live outside, which is already cruel, and constantly having threat of their lives being upended, whether it's through the many stages of this plan that the mayor has put out. So yeah, I think everyone at the park needs to be given an option of where to go, that it's somewhere that isn't just being arrested and put in prison, because the city belongs to all of us, and it's wrong to lock people up for not having a place to live. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Our next in-person comment, sir.
Good evening. See, I'm a little shorter. I'm here to voice my support for this resolution. Unaffordable housing, rising costs of living. I mean, we literally just talked about the cost of electric bills here. Poor access to health care, lack of prison reform more have contributed to this problem. So Kearney's solution was the park. Oh, guess that's a solution. After spending tens of thousands of dollars to support them, alongside the pittance given to Friendship House, then evict them after 1 month. This is a temper tantrum. And I don't know about you, but this is not how we handle temper tantrums. If we give in, if we condone and co-sign what's happening, we are giving in. That will simply condone behavior and give them permissions to do things on a petty whim even further. If we stand by and do nothing, we co-sign that anyone can be treated in this inhumane manner. As President Congo shared at the end of your last meeting, we can and should do better. This resolution provides avenues for more humane and realistic alternative. Not one of us here at all is safe from being in the same position as our park residents. This is where we all need to take a stand and show up for the good we believe in humanity and within ourselves. The resolution at least makes the attempt that Kearney refuses to even consider. Thank you.
We have, is it Carita Kirby?
Hi, yeah, it's Caritas. Hello.
Yes, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, oh, thank you. I'm Carrie Kirby. I live in Ellesmere, Delaware. I have supported a number of folks who are volunteering at the park, monetarily, emotionally, picked up kids from school so that they can go down to the park and support residents there, because that's, kind of where we're left with. That's how we as a people have taken care of each other when the administration has not. We don't have the same type of income. We can't even touch that income that Kearney rubs shoulders with. And it feels like an insult sometimes just to exist. And to just try and carve out any sort of sustenance, money, time, rest, safety. Those are things that a lot of us here do take for granted. But if you go down to the park, or if you listen to people who advocate for unhoused individuals in the state, or people who have deeply serious mental health conditions or substance disorders, you will know what it means to feel unsafe in your own body, in your own house, in your own neighborhood. I support this resolution that Councilmember Darby has put forth, and I also thank you, Councilmember Darby, for your comments introducing the resolution, because at its core, what is happening in the park, the displacement of individuals who are in need of basic necessities, safety, food, shelter, it's an inhumane action that the administration seems to be hard-headed about. And if the direction is to get funding from the state, then that needs to happen aggressively. There needs to be very aggressive conversations between this current administration, who used to serve as our governor, with the current governor. I don't understand really why this was the choice. When the encampment came to be in the fall of 2025, there was just an overall sinking feeling in the community, because we've seen encampments happen like this all over the country. And inevitably, they would lead to sweeps, arrests, detainments, and injuries to people who really needed help. So just wanted to encourage the rest of council in this committee to support this resolution and to continue to pressure the administration to get help and the money from the sources that they say have those resources to help us. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. My next in-person comment. Yes.
Good evening. I'm Gene Messick. I work at the N House in District 4 at Christina Park. I want to talk to you all about impact today. About 8 months ago, the Homelessness Task Force report came out, and a few months after, Kearney announced his plans on how to address this situation. Totally disconnected from reality, by the way. He announced that he wanted to spend $600 building a day center for centralized intake or something, whatever, dude. He talked about bringing Friendship House on. That was good. That worked out for some people at the park. They've been doing some really good work down there. We got the park opened officially on January 6th, and we had a very harsh winter. We spent the first couple months trying to make sure that people didn't starve and people didn't freeze. It's really hard to connect people with services when those are their number one and number two priorities. So nobody got housed. Nobody got housed until April, when we finally got a little bit of stability. We had people under tents. We had a little bit of peace. We had time to actually go down and talk to people and get them connected with things. Since then, every week, the amount of people that have been connected with counseling services, the amount of people that have been connected with housing away from the park has increased at an exponential level every week, week after week. But it takes time. And it takes time to prepare to be evicted. I don't know if any of y'all have ever had to pack up your lives in 30 days, but it's hard. Imagine that while you're also trying to figure out where you're going to eat, where you're going to get water, where your Social Security card that was thrown out by Wilmington Police Department is, how to get that replaced. There are a number of individuals down at the park right now that tried to get in at the Hope Center. One of them, unfortunately, had a major infection in his right knee and was hospitalized for a few days. And as such, he was unable to meet curfew at Hope Center. And Hope Center threw out his belongings, including his birth certificate, his Social Security card, and his photo ID, and irreplaceable pictures of his family. Got another woman down there that was trying to escape a domestic violence situation, right? But she didn't have transportation to get her belongings from the park to Hope Center, so she was doing it day by day, going back and forth. One time she missed her ride back, missed curfew. Now she's not allowed back, okay? It is very hard to get over the barriers and into shelter. We can't do it in 30 days. There's another gentleman down there that is missing his birth certificate or his Social Security card, and he has an appointment with social services to get that replaced on June 20th, 5 days after the eviction. All three of those people I just talked to have already missed the bus. They're not going to be able to get out.
15 seconds.
They're not going to be able to get out. None of them are. Carney is not behaving democratically. He is making unilateral decisions that do not reflect reality, and he needs to be stopped. Please do what you can to stop this sweep and give these people the time they need to get out safely. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. Nine, we have Kaylin Richards.
Good evening. My name is Kaylin Richards. I'm the Associate Director of Tide Shift Justice Project, and I work in the city of Wilmington. We are in support of Councilwoman Darby's resolution. Displacing the residents of Christina Park without a plan isn't just poor policy and practice, it's inhumane. Providing unhoused people with temporary shelter only to evict them without a transition plan will make the situation worse and lead to collateral consequences for those already facing mental, physical, and financial challenges. Good policy and practice leads to good solutions. Evicting the residents without a transition plan solves nothing. It just further displaces them. They'll end up in our prisons, our hospitals, and even worse, our morgues. We believe their lives are worth so much more than that. Therefore, we encourage this committee to take a stand with your most vulnerable constituents by supporting this resolution. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I feel like that's it for online comments. That's all I had. Any more in person? Yes. Only one more. Okay, I'll call them next.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Brick. I used to work for the state. I have been a lifelong resident of Wilmington. I have been in every city council meeting on this topic since roughly March. I'm in support of this resolution. I did hear some concerns about what happens if we give these people homes, what happens if they're in our communities. I understand the reticence around it. I went to lunch with a lobbyist friend of mine recently. He said, what if these people set up a tent in your front yard? And I said, that's kind of absurd. But what if these people set up tents on public property? That's a little less absurd. The thing is, when you don't have homeostasis, when you don't have the security of a room with a door you can lock and a place to lay down your head knowing someone isn't going to slash up your tent, knowing someone that isn't going to steal your stuff or kick your dog, or you're going to get stabbed by somebody who wants to come harass you. Having that security, knowing you can lock that door, knowing you can lay your head down at night, fixes so many problems by itself. We haven't seen any movement towards that from this administration. What we've seen from this administration is something akin to the forced disappearances of Argentina during the junta. This is not sustainable if we want to continue caring for the citizens of Wilmington. Because as several of my fellow commenters said, as several people who have volunteered down at the park have said, this could happen to any of us. And if they come for the homeless, they start coming for all of us. And I want to thank council members Willauer, Darby, and Owens for their work on this, on making sure that we can take care of the people down at the park. And I really, really hope that on the 15th, we won't have to be doing any more of this. I doubt it, but if we do, I hope I'll see you three down there. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. One more person online. I don't have their name, but if you come off mute and state your name. Emily?
Hi,
I thought we did.
I'm Emily Van Black. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say I'm in support of the resolution. I've worked at Sojourners, and I've seen like 50% of people at Sojourners turn around and get jobs and get homes. They have a very high success rate. And to go through homelessness, I was without a home when I was 16 years old due to my family falling apart and disabilities. And then I was without a home, like when I was a victim of a crime and I had to move suddenly from Newark to Wilmington. I stayed with friends for a while, luckily, and slept on couches. But as one person said earlier, what is it like to have to suddenly pack up everything you own or just throw everything you own away? And I've been in that situation. It's devastating. You don't know where your documents are. You have to literally get started again. And luckily, I had some resources. So, what we're seeing is people who are older too with the churches, we can't volunteer as much as we used to. We can't do, Code Purple and things like that. We just don't have the number of people and the manpower that we had before. So some of the supports are dropping out. And then for younger people, they are having trouble paying rent and everything. So it's really like a perfect storm. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to be seeing more and more people homeless who are experiencing homelessness, and we need to address this problem. We need to have a plan. We can't just evict people on June 15th. That's just so inhumane. And I'm disabled, but I'm going to try to get down to the camp on June 15th and protest with members from my church, because this is a human rights issue at this point, and I don't understand how the city of Wilmington can treat people like this. It's not just the tent city, but there's a lot of people who are homeless and a lot of people who are suffering right now, and the economy is just struggling. So this is going to be a worse situation than it is now. Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks. Our next two public commenters, if y'all want to come up.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jaleesa White. I'm not a outspoken person, but I feel the need to say something because I'm from Wilmington. I'm a community health worker. So I'm just talking about patterns. This comes from the Creative Vision spot where they shut down, where that's no longer, that was an outlet where some of the unhoused individuals would go to express their creativity. I had the opportunity, excuse me, I don't get on and talk on mic like that, but I was one of the participants at the Creative Vision, doing the molding, and I seen a lot of creativity, and they had breakfast and things for those individuals who are unhoused. And so that place got shut down. There was another place, I think the Sunday Breakfast Mission, where that was like a place where individuals who are unhoused can go, and that was shut down. There was a thing at the Rodney Square where, they didn't want unhoused at Rodney Square. That was shut down. The plumber center, for individuals who are coming out of, prison, that's shut down. So we have to look at these patterns. There's going to be a lot of negative results that are not going to, like we said, it's going to be a lot of incarceration. I see a lot of videos, and I see, a lot of officers, they're becoming aggressive, towards individuals who, just need basic needs met, and I'm a community health worker, and I see that some of these individuals, they just need, assistance, basic assistance. And so I just wanted to speak on that behalf, that we have to look at our patterns and, come together. I'm not really much of a speaker, but I felt the need to say something, and also to thank, all those who are making an impact and all those who come out to speak for those who feel like they don't have no voice, those who feel like they hopeless. And so I just come up here to say that we have to look at our patterns and, make changes, necessary changes, and also join forces with those individuals who are maybe out of state. Sometimes people can become products of their environment. And so, allowing them to see a different environment and to know that, they're cared for and they're a part of society. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing me to, say my little 1-2. Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you. Next person, for comment.
Hi, my name is Cheyenne Miller. I am in the 7th District with Homes Campaign with Working Families Power. And I also sit on the subcommittee for homelessness under the other committee that is for health and aging or something like that. The big concern here is that, even if we were to pass this resolution, we'd still need for the administration to comply with it. And I think what we heard today is that there are a lot of people who are willing to show up and help people at the park come up with plans and do the job of the council and the job of the mayor to help people at the park, and to do it when they are being underpaid or not being paid at all. And it is a little disappointing because I sat in the other chamber last week and watched City Council refuse to put money in the budget for homelessness. And I appreciate the fact that there are people here who did fight for money to go into the budget for homelessness. But I think what Jaleesa says is I continue to see patterns. And so while I urge that the council does pass this ordinance or this resolution specifically, some of the other things I'd like to urge are more specific to what the needs of the park are. Besides the fact that we need to make sure that June 15th does not happen, right? Like that we do not see displacement. There are people down at the park who are being offered opportunity to stay at the Hope Center, and it is not equally being distributed. If we can make sure that we talk to the mayor, the governor, and everyone to ensure that that offer is getting to everyone who needs it and can get it, and that it is accessible to people, that would be really helpful. Even though a 6-month stay is pretty funny, because from my math, June 15th to December 15th means that people will be kicked out of the Hope Center in the middle of winter, which will probably make Code Purple's life hard, but sure, 6 months, you could also do a year. I also hope that City Council will move forward with putting a request into the state to put a budget request in. They are right now looking at the operating budget and they're looking at the bond budget. There's absolutely no reason why we should not be requesting funding from the state to help with providing the housing and the supports that are needed for the people at the park. That is a direct thing that can also happen alongside with this resolution. And I really, really hope that when this resolution passes, that we can do our best to actually have it come to fruition, that we actually come up with a real plan for the people experiencing homelessness. There is way more people experiencing homelessness in Wilmington that do not live at that park. There are thousands of people experiencing homelessness across the city. The attention on the park is so because people are considering what will it be like when it is a family with elders and a family with children that can't get into a shelter and that have run out of options when they show up at the park having to live in a tent and the cops are telling them they can't stay there. And so one of the reasons people care so much about this is the fact that it really could be any of us, but because we do need a long-term plan for more than just the people at the park. So stop the June 15th eviction, come up with a long-term plan for homelessness for the entire city, and please, for the love of God, you guys, go get some money from the state so we can solve this problem.
Sir. I do. Oh, okay. Yes. No, you good.
Good evening. I will say now that this will go more than 3 minutes, but I do not know it'll go more than 4. So at the 3-minute mark, I can pass it to my coworker for fairness if you prefer. So please let me know. I am Kim Eppiheimer, and I am the Chief Executive Officer of Friendship House. And I want to begin by saying that Friendship House is not in favor of closing Christina Park. Had we understood that this would be a short-term effort, we likely would have made different decisions. We entered into this work believing that we were helping to create a longer runway to stabilize people's lives and move them toward housing. Over the past several months, our team has spent a great deal of time talking to folks living at Christina Park, and when asked what they want, the answer is remarkably consistent. They want to be treated like people. They want to be treated with dignity, they want respect, and they want to be listened to without judgment. They want to be seen as human beings and not as political talking points, not as problems to solve, and not as assumptions to be made. Secondly, they want housing. They want housing that works for them. Most of us in this room likely have had the privilege of choosing where we live. We chose our neighborhood. Maybe we even chose our roommates. We get to choose the rules of our homes, and we get to choose what makes a place feel safe and comfortable. People experiencing homelessness deserve that same respect. And we should never confuse housing with simply placing people somewhere. Finally, people want services. They want services when they are ready for them and when they need them, and in ways that make sense for their lives. Not every person experiencing homelessness suffers from substance use disorder. Not every person experiencing homelessness suffers from mental health challenges. And even among those who do, recovery and healing cannot be forced or even expected. Lasting change happens when people are engaged, when they're supported and respected. And yes, it takes time, a lot of time. What concerns me is that we continue to chase quick solutions to a problem that is anything but simple. We can debate whether the park is a good idea. We can debate whether closing it now is the right decision. We can debate whether extending it will help or hurt, but none of those debates by themselves are going to house a single person. Whether the park remains open or closes, those challenges are going to exist tomorrow. The individuals living in Christina Park, as well as those who are still unhoused throughout our city, deserve better than being caught in the middle of political disagreements. They deserve honesty, they deserve dignity, and they deserve transparency and real options. I also think it's important we acknowledge the complexity of what comes next. The resolution appears to be built around the hope that every person currently living in the park will secure housing or choose a temporary housing option if one becomes available. I hope that happens. But after years of working alongside people experiencing homelessness, I have learned there is no single path that's going to work for everyone. And securing housing can be a very lengthy, complex process, made harder the longer the person is unhoused. If the park does remain open, we have to be honest about the questions that still need answers. What happens when additional people come to the park seeking refuge? What happens if someone doesn't qualify for available housing opportunities? If the park stays open, we need to plan no less than 18 to 24 months to allow a proper exit strategy, if a proper exit strategy is even an option. Our responsibility is not to the park. Our responsibility is to the people. Whatever decision is made, we need a strategy that supports not only those who fit neatly in existing systems, but also those whose circumstances are more complicated and whose path to stability may and will take longer. I will end with this. Friendship House has spent decades working alongside people through homelessness, addiction, poverty, and housing instability. Not because we have all the answers, but because we believe every person deserves to be seen, heard, respected, and loved. And that belief has not changed. And regardless of what happens to Christina Park, that commitment won't change either. My hope is that when this meeting ends, we spend less time debating one park and more time building a community where fewer people end up without a home in the first place, because that is the conversation that ultimately matters. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I want to close out with there was no more public comment, right? All right. I wanted to close out with a few things. It's about June 18th. This will be on. I think
June 4th.
Oh, tomorrow, you know. All right, so it'll be on the agenda tomorrow. So if you can come out tomorrow, bring individuals. And what I'm hearing, you guys are, most of you guys are Delawareans. You're from here. I know that the mayor stated that you guys are a bunch of socialists from New York.
Also, we're funded by George Soros.
Yeah. So he doesn't even believe that the city of Wilmington, that the people who are here cares about this issue. He believes that you guys are outsiders. So, I want to put that point on as people come out tomorrow, like say you are a resident, you live in Delaware or Wilmington, right? Make those points very clear that you guys aren't, I don't see anything wrong with being a socialist, but you're not a socialist from New York, right? So I think those things are important because city council has more power than you think we have, right? Or than we think we have. We have the power of voting. We control all the things that we need to vote on. The mayor, administration, executive branch needs us to vote on things. We can hold that power to say, we're not going to, vote on these particular things if you don't do this, if you do this. We have the power, and city council has not, in my 6 years, until Councilmember Willauer and Kobe Owens came, we haven't really used our power for the community. And council can do that. Collectively, we can go to the mayor. If all 13 of us go to the mayor and say, we don't want this to happen, that is power in that. But I'm sorry, I don't see that happening for y'all. Like, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but I've been here for about 6 years, and I just don't see that happening. But we do have the power to do that, right? So I want you guys to know that. The mayor administration, as I was sitting here, sent the letter opposing the resolution tonight. So I want to read the letter for the record. Dear Council President Congo, this is coming from the Chief of Staff, Saran Cade, from the Mayor's administration. He says, I write to respectfully oppose the resolution titled, a resolution calling for a transition plan for individuals residing at Christina Park and long-term homelessness coordination, as it is unnecessary due to the work already underway and does not acknowledge the limits of municipality authority or the responsibility of our state partners. The park initiative began because Wilmington was experiencing a sharp increase in the number of street unhoused individuals and because residents and taxpayers were reporting unneighborly and at times aggressive behavior in public space. At the same time, according to the most recent Spotlight Delaware article about those individuals in shelters, about one third of the people said they moved to Wilmington while already experiencing homelessness. And it is reasonable to assume the proportion is even higher among those sleeping outdoors. Wilmington has been carrying a regional burden without the tools or resources that research shows are necessary to effectively combat homelessness. In response, the administration established 2 clear goals for the park. Create a centralized location where the city could maintain some degree of structure and safety while coordinating case management and comprehensive support. And number 2, reduce the number of individuals living unsheltered on Wilmington streets. We have met those goals. To date, 55 individuals at the park have received comprehensive assessment, leading to 32 people being placed into more stable emergency housing with active case management underway for 20 more. These are outcomes Wilmington has never achieved at this scale before. The remaining individuals are experiencing co-occurring acute substance use, and mental health conditions that limit their engagement, but even in those cases, outreach continues. This resolution does not acknowledge this progress. Instead, it demands that Wilmington taxpayers continue to shoulder the cost of temporary encampment until the state completes its planning work. This is not fair to the residents who have already sacrificed their use of their neighborhood park, nor is it sustainable for a city that does not control the funding streams, treatment infrastructure, or wraparound services required to address homelessness at its roots. All right, we got 2 more paragraphs.
Homeless people there for 4 years before it became an official park. It wasn't being used as a park. It's been neglected. They fixed Stapler Park, not Christina Park.
I agree. The mayor and council members who represent this district where the park is located have heard firsthand from city residents who live in the area. They have been patient, gracious, and clear. They want their park back, and they want the city to move forward with the plan already in motion. The plan is real, detailed, and underway. By working with our partners, Wilmington has secured temporary storage for personal belongings at the Wilmington Housing Authority Maintenance Building at 600 4th Street. We have partnered with Wilmington Housing Authority to identify actual emergency housing opportunities, and Wilmington Housing Authority is finalizing MOUs with community partners while coordinating with Friendship House on referrals and intakes. We have identified up to 20 beds. In addition, they have also committed to providing emergency hotel and motel stays with case management by trained staff. As always, these placements depends on individuals being willing to accept the rules associated with the program and case management. But the infrastructure has been created. All right. Despite this, a small group of vocal critics, socialists from New York, continue to minimize this work and distort the facts. For the first time, Wilmington and its community partners has successfully placed 32 people in stable emergency housing. That is a milestone worth recognizing. Wilmington has acted responsible, compassionately, and effectively. It is time to transition away from a temporary encampment model. We will continue to step up while also insisting that our state and local partners develop the system changes that this issue requires. For this reason, we oppose the resolution. Sincerely.
Suck my socialist ass, Kate.
So, that is it. So come out tomorrow night as Wilmington residents. So I don't know if there's any other closing thoughts or concerns from any council people. All righty. Anything else online? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Any seconds? All right. It's properly moved in second to adjourn. All those in favor by signifying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Good night, Wilmington.